Considering the sexy scenes he's read, totally 18 plus. Don't you know who you're talking to?
Daddy. Strength to hold in what is trying to get out. Okay. Temptation.
He lowers himself down between my legs and watches me closely as he pushes himself inside me. I cry out, moaning with pleasure, uncaring how feral and out of control I sound. Kyle moves slowly at first, kissing me so softly that I feel like I might explode. Then he pulls back and slams into me hard.
I shall save you all from spiders. I'm an expert trapper and releaser. That's so sweet that you release them. I murder them. Hello. Good evening and welcome. It is Sunday. It's reading day. Oh, and what a weekend it has been. I don't know what it's like for all of you, but my goodness, it's been a weekend. Stepmama's mama, redeeming first place. Thank you, well done. Mitchell, almost first. I feel like I should add an almost first. Or almost second, I think might be better, actually. Yeah, I could do that. That'd be cool. Anyway, Friday night, wife and I went to a friend's house for a little get-together with a bunch of people. And that had been postponed twice. So it was great to, finally do that. That was fun. But we couldn't stay very late because the next morning we picked up a family member in a town an hour away, and then from there we went to Chicago, where we all met up. We went to IKEA first, as you do, and then we had a surprise birthday party for a family member. They were there for a conference, so as many of us as possible showed up, and she was very surprised, blown away. So surprised that she cried. Which is the goal, right? That's what you want them to do. But no, it was a good time. We stayed up very late, got up very early, and came back. So I am just a wee bit tired. But it was a great time. Oh, and my kiddo just lost another tooth. Wonderful. It came out. Okay, so there you go. Oh, so that's basically my weekend in a nutshell. Hopefully, you've all had a more relaxing one than me. Hi, Kay. Lady K, everybody. Lady K. Tooth Fairy time? I know. He's lost a couple now in the past week or two. They're just all falling out. Wonderful. How are you, Kay? Did you have a good weekend? Gotta get all my yawns out now. Stepmama's mama, did you hang out with the stunts? Do much with them this weekend? Mitchell, did you get up to anything interesting, exciting? Hopefully nothing too traumatic. I'm good. It was cold. Yes. Yes, it has been. Quite chilly. We got an Uber from our hotel to the site where the surprise party was happening. And somehow we caught a surge and my price went from 30 bucks to 50 in seconds, and there was nothing I could do about it. And that was just to get there, and it was another 30 bucks to get back. So, you know, that was great. But we didn't want to drive in Chicago traffic, so you had to shovel snow? Sorry. By the way, Ohio, go Ladybug. Yes, I saw it. And I'll be fair, there were a lot of very, very strange calls on both teams, and some that should have been calls that weren't. It was very strange. But I'll give props where props are due. The Buckeyes, the ladies, they played their hearts out. They sure did. They gave it all. So, let's see. Removing from sinus infection, tons of fun. Oh no. Recovering. You know, that makes sense. I thought you were just saying I'm removing myself from a sinus infection, which is kind of like saying you're recovering. Macca's, what's up, man? How you doing? It sucks that y'all's players got knocked down by a fan. Yeah, that was a bit odd. I didn't see it, and I know they replayed it. I didn't see it, but yeah, our team or our school doesn't allow the fans or the students or whatever to rush onto the court. I don't see that many places. I wasn't surprised that Ohio did it because I saw one of their previous games that they won, and they rushed out. So I wasn't shocked to know that it happened on this game as well. But yeah, don't knock over the other team or any player for that matter, regardless of whose team it is. So just not very professional. A pure accident, I'm sure, but. Let's see. I'm so sorry. The yawns are going to be relentless. I am legitimately tired. I am not 21 anymore. I am not. In fact, let's see. Today's the 21st. Stop listening to me. So in 10 days, I'll be a year older. That's right. In 10 days, it's my birthday. Thankfully, I'm not streaming that day, because it's not a... I don't remember what day it's on, actually. Let me look at the calendar real quick. It's on a Wednesday. That's right. Yes. So that's a relief. We'll get these yawns knocked out of me. Don't worry. I'm in pain, so I had to eat a gummy. So I may not make a lot of sense in about an hour. No worries, Kay. I hope you feel better. There was a little girl holding a cute sign that said, "I'm a Buckeye fan, but I'm here to see the star of the Lady Hawkeyes." That's adorable. So many people are enamored with Caitlin Clark. I know she's a great player, but it's a team effort, guys. Team effort. You can't have one without the other. Oh, also, well, let me get into the puzzle before I forget. I have a lovely new puzzle for you. The counter above my head still is not correct. That 25 should be at 27. Because I just double checked before I went live. Yeah. Frolic in IKEA is for the young. Yeah, I know. Yeah. There's so many things I wanted to buy. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm not sure what to do about the giveaway counter because it's not counting properly. It's so annoying. I'm wondering if I should go into Stream Elements and just make up my own, like I did for the push-ups, which I should probably do some, now that I'm thinking about it. Let's see. If I go into elements... No, that's not what I want. Overlays? No. Gosh darn it, where did I set that up? Now I can't even... Nope, it's not that. Nope, that's not it. I'm fine. I just can't remember anything now. At all. Where the heck did I... I'm so confused. I hope the gummy makes you feel better, and if it makes you goofy, all the better. It makes you giggly. Oh, perfect. Wonderful. Where the heck did I set up my bot for the push-ups? It's around here somewhere. I didn't do it in stream. I could have swore I did it in stream elements. The heck? I am so confused. I'll have to figure it out later. The point is, we're not at 25, we're at 27, so we're definitely over halfway before I can do the giveaway. So, that's great. I'm cute, both drunk and stoned, or so I'm told. Well, that's lovely. We have an IKEA about 2 hours away, and another one 3 hours away, Stockholm, and I hope to make a trip there someday. I do enjoy IKEA. Everyone raves about the Swedish meatballs. I don't think they're all that, but that's just my taste. I do enjoy them, I just don't think they're like, oh my gosh, Swedish meatballs. Anyway. Let's read a book. It's time. It's time. The real question tonight is, can I remember how to pronounce everybody's names? I'm reading along in my own copy. Lovely. Which reminds me, !fall if you wish to check out this book for yourself. And of course, keep an eye out for updates on the next one in the series. Alright, chapter 4 is on page 62 of the printed copy. Oh. So sorry. I'm fine. I forgot about the one near Polaris. That would also be about 2 hours away. The one north of Indy is about 2 hours away, and the one north of Cincy is about 3 hours away. There you go. The more you know. So yeah, chapter 4 is Rage and Grief, and it's from Shi Yang's perspective. Did I say that right? Shi Yang? I think I did. Pretty sure. Yes. Okay. Alright, here we go. Banished. My weak, pathetic, pussy-whipped brother actually banished me, casting aside the importance of family for a woman who was worth nothing more than the slick sheath between her legs. His choosing of that cunning white bitch he was mated to over his own flesh and blood was an outrage and a crime against the ties that bind. What an absolute disgrace he was, a man and a king. Furious, I threw the last of my suitcases into the trunk of my car and slammed the lid. Indignant rage, good grief. Indignant rage boiled my blood until my thirst for violence became too great to ignore. I spun around, intending to go back into the palace to force Li Xin to rescind the banishment and show him once and for all who held the power in this family. But Quinn's unexpected nudge stopped me. Time's up, Shi Yang. Let's move, he said, addressing me without the formality I was due and with a hint of a smoked smile on his lips. I turned to face him fully, ready to fight. Do not touch me, I growled, triggering a dozen soldiers to emerge from various locations around the palace and take up defensive postures. As much as I would have loved to remind Li Xin lapdog of his proper place, it would not be wise to assault him with so many ready to intervene. I would end up in a cage, powerless to change my circumstances. So, instead of fighting my way back into the palace to face my brother, I accepted my fate, stamped down my temper, and stormed around the car to the driver's side. As I slid behind the wheel, I watched Quinn and a second soldier climb into the back of the SUV parked in front of me. A glance over my shoulder revealed two more, getting into another at the rear. With a roll of my eyes and a sigh of disgust, I turned the key and started the engine, then waited. A few seconds later, the lead SUV pulled away and cruised down the long drive as if it was a grand parade. I followed, suppressing the urge to ram the vehicle while my panther raged inside my head, making it near impossible to resist. You should have killed that fool where he sat. How dare he banish us from what is rightfully ours? If I had killed Li Xin, we would be in a cage, awaiting our execution. Just relax and let me think. I will figure this out. What is there to figure out, Shi Yang? We have been banished. We cannot continue our mission from outside the Pride. All because you could not keep your mouth shut about your suspicions. I laughed. Yes, we can. Indirectly, of course. I have already reached out to those few who are sympathetic to our plight, in case I cannot figure out a way to get this reversed. They are more than willing to continue operations in our stead. Nothing is going to stand in our way. Now, relax. Before my panther could respond, I put my block in place and pressed the button on my steering wheel to engage my cell phone. Call farther, I instructed. What have you done? My father's booming voice demanded when he answered, having been warned about my impending call. I have done nothing that warranted the action Li Xin has taken. I merely raised a question that he did not want to answer. I replied with a calm voice while my fingers tightened around the steering wheel, wishing they were wrapped around my useless brother's neck. My father's audible huff echoed from the stereo speakers. You insinuated that his mate laid with another man to produce an heir. You fueled unrest when you were supposed to stand with the crown. What is wrong with you, Shi Yang? Why can you not act like the man I raised? Why can you not support your brother, your king, like you are supposed to? He is unworthy to wear the crown, I roared, then forced myself to calm down. Forgive me, father. I'm a bit stressed. What I meant to say was Li Xin is insisting on making the girl child his successor. That is not the way of things. Many of the neighboring prides are threatening to cut ties with Obsidian Mountain if he goes through with it. Your Excellency, you must do something before he destroys everything our ancestors built. Times change, Shi Yang. We must change with them. I have told you that many times. You cannot stop progress. Attempting to do so will only hold the pride back. The other prides will come around before he passes the crown. I am confident that before the princess reaches 21 years of age, they will see the necessity of what Li Xin is doing and will behave accordingly. My father reasoned. I was seething, but was careful to keep it out of my voice. Yes, father, I understand. Perhaps I acted rashly, but I was concerned about the reaction of our neighbors to Li Xin's announcement. Could you speak with him about reversing my banishment? You taught us that family ties are meant to be respected and preserved. I am his brother. Obsidian Mountain is my home. Surely that is more important than a carelessly asked question. I did teach you that, and it is true. However, your mother and I also agree that you have gone too far this time, Shi Yang. Your false accusation has already reached the Pride Society's ears, and they have ordered a full investigation into Fallon's pregnancy, including a paternity test upon the child's birth. You have brought shame to your brother and his mate, tarnishing the crown in the process. I'm sorry, but I will not intervene on your behalf. If you want to be welcomed back to Obsidian Mountain, you're going to have to earn it. I suggest you begin with a genuine, handwritten apology to them both, addressing your insolence and poor judgment. Jabbing the button with my finger, I cut off the call and released a roar that shattered my rear view mirror. My father was just as weak and as useless as my brother. No wonder he refused to buck tradition and pass the crown to Li Xin despite my impassioned campaign to succeed him instead. Since they were of like minds, nobody was surprised when he chose Li Xin. And if left unchecked, their progressive thinking would destroy Obsidian Mountain. I had to stop it, but I was going to need some help. I know this guy's the bad guy, but I enjoy playing his character. Is that weird? It's not weird, right? I like him in that way. He's interesting. Not that Li Xin isn't. Li Xin is calculated and safe. But this guy's like, you know, edgy. A lot of actors prefer villains. Well, I guess it's settled then. I'm the bad guy. All right, our next little section is from Quinn's perspective. Watching Shi Yang drive through the gates of Obsidian Mountain and knowing that he wouldn't be returning lifted an enormous weight from my shoulders. I'd been wary of him since the day King... Oh god, another name. Hold on. Please hold. I'd gotten so used to the other names that I kind of forgot that there were other ones. Chi. That's what I need to pronounce. King Chi Peng. Don't look at me with that emoji, Mitchell. I'd been wary of him since the day King Chi Peng announced Li Xin as his successor, and Shi Yang shared his objections to anyone within earshot, whether they wanted to hear it or not. That's a better emoji, thank you. The man had been a menace ever since, causing drama with his hateful snipes and spreading rumors that created unrest within the Pride. Anything he could do to make Li Xin's life miserable, he did with great relish. I loathed him, as did a substantial portion of the pride. The SUV driver met my eyes in the mirror, a silent question reflected in his. I nodded, granting him permission to turn back toward the palace as the gates swung closed. There was a brief flash of excitement with the sound of iron banging together. Shi Yang's daily harassment of King Li Xin and Queen Fallon was finally over. I felt the tug of a channel request as the SUV pulled into the long, circular drive of the palace. So this is between Quinn and Li Xin. Yes? Is he gone? Yes, Your Majesty. When you return to the palace, could you meet me in my office? Yes, Your Majesty. We have just arrived. I will be there soon. When the SUV stopped at the bottom of the palace steps, I sprang from the vehicle and jogged up to the carved, honey-stained oak double doors. A housemaid I didn't recognize tugged them open as I approached, and I offered the young woman a brief nod and a friendly smile as I passed. Hurrying down the long hall and turning the corridor toward the east wing, where King Li Xin and Queen Fallon kept their offices. Li Xin's open door invited me to enter without knocking. While he leaned against the floor-to-ceiling window frame and stared out into the garden, his shoulders were slumped, a clear sign that he was troubled. My heart ached for my friend. Despite Shi Yang's vile treatment, Li Xin loved his brother, and I knew the decision to banish him had not been an easy one. You wish to see me, Your Majesty, I said, stepping into the room. I am sorry I did not give you fair warning of my decision to banish Shi Yang, Quinn, he said without sparing me a glance. It came upon me suddenly, and I had to take action before I could be swayed into changing my mind. I bowed my head, and though he couldn't see it, you owe me no apology or explanation. Your will is to be done when you wish it, with or without prior notification. Finally, he turned away from the window and met my gaze. His eyes were deeply shadowed and weary from grief. As your king, this is true. But as your oldest friend, I failed to entrust you with a deeply personal and painful decision. It is for that I apologize, Quinn. Sire, you know I will always side with you in personal matters. I answered, humbled that he felt guilty for not sharing his pain with me. Can we stop with the titles, please? This is not an official meeting. I do not need my military chief right now. I need my friend, damn it. Tears shimmered in his eyes as he turned back to face the garden. I closed and locked the door for privacy, then skirted the desk. Lee. Because there was nothing I could say to ease his pain, I gave up trying to find the right words and just pulled him in, hugging him tight until he let himself grieve. While listening to Li Xin's agony, I cursed the vile creature he'd been blighted with for a brother, and prayed to the collective that he would find peace in the absence of Shi Yang's cruelty. We remained locked in that vice grip-like embrace for several minutes, while Li Xin released every bit of anguish pent up inside him. He couldn't burden Fallon with his pain in her condition, so it fell to me to support him while he grieved, and I was willing to do so. It had been that way our whole lives. Whenever Shi Yang and his friends tormented Li Xin, he sought comfort and reassurance from me. I taught him to fight, even though royalty never saw a battlefield, and celebrated with him the first and last time he was pushed to throw a punch. Blood or not, we were the real brotherly pair. We regarded each other as such and behaved accordingly. That fact only aggravated Shi Yang further and made me another target of his jealousy. Li Xin eased away and kept his eyes averted after those deep, rumbling, chest-heaving sobs abated. Thank you. It shames me to be so weak. You are not weak, Li Xin. I reassured him. You are smart. Emotions need to be expressed or they will eat you up inside. Too many men have gone mad from suffering in silence until they could not contain their feelings anymore. I still struggle with that myself. But Maya makes sure I do not bury things I should confront head on. Li Xin nodded, yanked a tissue from the box on his desk, and began wiping away the damp raid from Rio. No, I'm just kidding. Hi, Rio. How are you? I will not lose my place. I will not lose my place. Ah, Redthorn, thank you for that shout out. I think the shouty one is borked. You have to do the regular SO. And I should close that tab because I was lurking on you. Hi Rio. How was stream? What were you doing? Were you doing some VR chatting? I forget. Or you were just doing the puzzle, right? You were just doing the puzzle. The AI one broken? That sucks. Yeah, it's shouty. You can try it, Red, if you want. It's exclamation point shouty at the person. But yeah, the last time I tried it, it didn't pop up for some reason. Not sure why. But yes, welcome. Thank you for raiding me. And you are indeed just in time. We're almost finished with this chapter. And then I'm told the next chapter is quite spicy. Wiggle, wiggle. So welcome. Come settle. Grab your drink. Get cozy. Spicy. And thank you for raiding me, Rio, you sweet bean. Alright, we're at the top of page 73. So without further ado. Li Xin nodded, yanked a tissue from the box on his desk, and began wiping away the damp trails left by his tears. Do you think I did the right thing? Yes, I do. I wanted to leave it at that, but my mind screamed at me to tell him everything. I must be honest, Li. I have spent the last 82 years preparing myself for the day Shi Yang would lead an uprising to seize the throne. He has been cultivating followers. Their numbers are few, but they have been growing. How many? He asked, slipping his royal mask back into place. Nearly a dozen at the last count. We have yet to see the aftermath of your announcement, I admitted. Well, I suppose it would be wise to get ahead of it before it festers. Let us issue an open invitation for the Pride members to come to the palace for a one-on-one. We will schedule daily appointments for as long as necessary, until everyone's concerns have been heard and addressed. And that concludes chapter 4. Which means I can take a sip of my tea, unless it's too blaringly hot. Doing the left-handed thing. Ooh, it's hot, but it's delicious. Okay. Chapter 5. It's a shame B isn't here. Where is B? We haven't had her grace the stream in a while. She doing okay? Chapter 5 is called Comfort in Paradise. Oh, Tallahassee. Got it. B. Who was I? I was thinking, oh, gosh darn it. Who is your friend that helped with, like, editing and stuff like that? Or am I completely messing this up? Tallahassee. Did I say Tallahassee? I did, didn't I? Gosh darn it. I'm so tired. Nailing it. Deb, that's right. Deb, thank you. She's working. Okay. Well, I mean, that happens. I get it. 'Tis okay. Right, so chapter 5, page 74. Comfort in Paradise, from King Li Shin's perspective. You didn't tell her about this reading. Okay. Will she be upset? I don't know. She would push herself to stay up. I see. No, bus drivers need to be alert. All right, folks. Here we go. My eyes burned, and my body ached from sleep deprivation, but I still could not force myself to go to bed. The day's events weighed heavily on me, and I did not want to disturb Fallon with my restlessness. She needed her rest. The stress of Shi Yang's treachery, along with the investigation it triggered, had zapped every ounce of her energy, until lifting a fork at dinner required too much effort. So, after carrying her to bed, I returned to my office to try to make peace with all that had happened, and to confer with Ballin. Ballin is his animal, right? Or is it Bolin? B-O-L-I-N? Bolin. Okay, yep. So this little bit here that I'm about to read is essentially a conversation between Bolin and Li Shin. He does not deserve your grief, Li Shin. Shi Yang never once behaved as your brother, only as your adversary. I do not understand this anguish you feel over the loss of a man who loathed you. Shi Yang is my brother, my flesh and blood. The pain I feel is from finally acknowledging that those ties mean nothing to him, that I mean nothing. We were raised to believe that family stood together against every storm and loved unconditionally. It is difficult to accept that those things were never true for Shi Yang. Some souls are incapable of that depth of feeling. They are inherently selfish and feel no loyalty or love for anyone other than themselves. Shi Yang is one of those souls, and he has been paired with a cat who is equally self-serving. As much as it pains you, it is imperative that you not give in to the temptation to rescind his banishment. I agree with your military chief, Li Shin. Ziyang will not be satisfied until he wears the crown, by fair or foul means. I agree with Quinn as well. That is why I decided to sit down with each member of this pride. I need to put their concerns to rest and assure them that their future queen will lift Obsidian Mountain to heights it has never seen before, to restore their faith in the crown and me. Your intentions are admirable, but I fear the poison is already in the water. Be cautious, my friend. Of course. With a sigh, I closed the channel and scrubbed my hands over my face. As I rose from my chair to stand before the dark window, the sun had gone down hours before, leaving only the soft glow of the moon and the thousands of fairy lights from Fallon's garden to illuminate the grounds. My eyes found that fragrant sea of color and tranquility and lingered. A small smile tugged at the corners of my mouth. The memory of my sweet little mate kneeling by those beds of rich black soil in denim bib overalls and a big floppy straw hat replayed in my mind. Bless the gods, she was adorable. My mother nearly fainted from the impropriety of it. Improprietary? That's such a weird word for me to say. So now we have a flashback in the story. A queen does not tend to the menial chores, my mother pointed out, her disapproval present in her tone and the tight line of her lips. She is planting flowers, mother, not scrubbing the floors. Gardening is a hobby many people of all social classes enjoy, I countered. Besides, she's not the queen yet. Mother huffed indignantly. She will be in a matter of days, Li Xin, she reminded me, then gasped as her eyes fell upon a trio of our kitchen staff watching from the edge of the garden. Oh, may the collective save us. She is drawing a crowd. Go out there and tell her to stop making a spectacle of herself, she demanded, wagging her finger at the window. I looked over my mother's head just as my gorgeous mate lifted her smiling face to accept a kiss from the sun, and I was instantly enraptured. Look how happy she is, mother. Royal life is a difficult adjustment for someone not born into it. I will not make it worse by denying her something that brings her so much joy. And that is where the flashback ends. That memory stuck with me through the years that followed and brought a smile to my face every time I looked upon those bright, colorful blossoms, no matter how rough the day. The soft scent of honey and ginger drew me back to the present a moment before the light knock on my door. Come in, my love, I called out, knowing Fallon stood on the other side. Slowly, she opened the door and stepped over the threshold. My heart swelled as I absorbed the sight of the most beautiful creature ever to grace the earth and my greatest treasure. Her long blonde hair fell in a shimmering curtain, framing her oval face and emphasizing the delicate features marred by concern. I apologize for disturbing you, Your Majesty, Fallon began, dropping into a curtsy and causing her favorite champagne-colored satin dressing gown to part, offering a small glimpse of a well-rounded belly. I was worried when I woke alone. Is everything all right? Guilt propelled me across the room until I stood before her with my head bowed in shame. Forgive me, Lonnie. I was restless and feared my presence would keep you awake, I admitted. Fallon closed and locked the door, then lifted her hands, linking them at the back of my neck. After 82 years of marriage and many trials, You are telling me that you still have not figured out that we are a team. I have, I protested and cradled her belly in my hands. You, my queen, are carrying our most precious gift, and I worry the stress will harm her. If you are restless, I will soothe you, Lee. We will soothe each other, and we will rest together. Is that not what the mate bond is all about? Is it not the mate bond that strengthens us? When we face a challenge as one, is the stress of it not eased and the pain not assuaged? Assuaged, good Lord. If the mate bond makes us stronger, makes our problems less of a burden, would our daughter not be safer when we are together? She gently admonished, her hands gravitating to my cheeks, framing my face and forcing my gaze to remain locked on hers. Yes, I relented with a smile. My queen was always the voice of reason, ready with the words I needed to hear upon her lips. All praise to the collective for blessing me with this incredible woman and her never-ending fountain of patience and wisdom. I was a better man for it, and no doubt a better king. Desperate for the comfort my mate offered, I leaned in and claimed those gorgeous, mildly top-heavy lips. It was not enough to hear the words. I needed to taste them at their source, satiate myself on their insight, and feel the truth of them in that intimate contact. And feel it I did. The moment my mouth closed over hers, everything else faded away. The hurt, the guilt, the sense of betrayal, all of it. The pull of the mate bond was so potent that it left no room within my heart to feel anything but the love I carried from my Lonnie. Tugging her closer, I took the kiss deeper, clinging to that bond like a lifeline, while at the same time letting myself get swept away. And now this next part is from Queen Fallon's perspective. When I felt the tension leave Li Shin's body, I relaxed and leaned into his kiss. Given time, the wound left by his brother's betrayal would heal, but at that moment, it was open, raw and bleeding. Only the mate bond could ease such agony. That intimate connection created by the marks we imprinted upon each other united our bodies and our life force, producing an energy that expedited the healing of almost any wound and mended broken hearts and spirits. Of course, physical contact added to it, but sex intensified it 1,000 times. And nothing could temper the euphoria that followed. Nothing. And that was precisely what we both needed. My body hummed with anticipation, every stroke of his tongue against mine increasing the velocity and driving me toward the edge of sanity. I pressed closer, waiting for Li Shin to take the kiss further. When he didn't, I took matters into my own hands. Wiggling as close as my burgeoning belly would allow, I wedged my hip against his already stiff cock and rocked, brushing my body against his length. His groan spurred me on, and I moaned softly, hoping the sound would push him over the edge. Unexpectedly, guilt crept in, halting my movements. Hello, Haiti. You're just in time. A brief rush of shame flowed over me, triggering an intense urge to pull away, but I stopped myself. Li Shin needed me, and that made the implied impropriety of carnal pleasure irrelevant. My mate's well-being was far more important, and I resumed grinding my hip against his growing erection, waiting for his resolve to snap. As it frayed, Li Xin's kisses bounced between tender and sweet, and desperate and hungry. He was fighting hard against that primal urge to lose control, but I wanted to give in to it. He needed to, and I intended to push him until he did. Tearing my lips from his, I stepped out of his embrace, moving just out of reach. Confusion, followed by a glimmer of hurt, filled his eyes, but was replaced by understanding when I smiled and reached for the belt of my dressing gown. Slowly, I parted the silky fabric and eased it off my shoulders, allowing the satin confection to fall to the floor. Beneath, I wore nothing but the soft shimmer left behind by my iridescent body butter. A look of pure, unabashed lust lit Li Xin's face as his eyes roamed over my naked body. That intimate gaze, filled with the passion he felt only from me, was more potent than any caress and sent a rush of liquid heat to my core. My thighs clenched as if being turned on by my own husband was somehow wrong, then relaxed when Li Xin closed his eyes and breathed in deeply, savoring the scent of my arousal. I shivered with the intensity of my excitement while watching those thick, inky black lashes lift, revealing deep brown eyes blazing with the fire I had hoped to ignite. Li Xin took a step forward, a predatory smile curling his lips as he extended his claws and shredded his button-down shirt, pants, and boxers, leaving him standing before me in all his natural glory. I purred at the impressive sight of my mate's naked form. A lifelong affinity of exercise had sculpted his body into something even gods would envy. There were dips and curves of muscles where most kings his age were soft and shapeless. My eyes swept over his broad, hairless chest and down, following the valley that divided his six-pack to the thin, dark trail below his belly button. At 105 years old, my king could put warriors a quarter of his age to shame. Saliva pooled in my mouth, forcing me to swallow as my gaze dipped lower to his fully engorged cock. The man had been blessed beyond words, and by extension, so had I, for it was my privilege to enjoy that long, thick rod as often as we were both pleased, which was almost daily, and sometimes more than once. Thanks belong to the collective for creating a specimen such as you, my king, I murmured as I closed the gap between us and started to kneel before him, anxious to wrap my lips around his member. I wobbled a bit and clasped onto his forearms for balance. You are in no condition to be on your knees, my love, Li Xin said, cupping my elbows and drawing me back up, then leading me to one of the visitor chairs in front of his desk. I eased myself down into it and smiled at my attentive husband. Thank you, my darling. In my haste to please you, I failed to consider my limitations. Li Xin leaned down and kissed me softly. I am humbled that the sight of me ignites such strong passion. You forget yourself, my queen, he said as he straddled my knees and took hold of his hardened cock, stroking his hand up and down the length before aiming it at my mouth. I hunger to feel it. A drop of pre-cum glistened on the tip, denoting his excitement and adding to my own. The urge to attack that delectable rod with my usual gusto was strong, but I fought it back, because now was not such the time to rush. My mate was hurting. He needed a slow, thorough loving to soothe his broken heart and restore his tattered soul. Tentatively, I flicked my tongue over the tip, collecting the delicious drop, met his eyes and groaned as I savored it. Nothing on earth tastes as good as you do, my king, I said, then slipped the head between my lips and sucked while easing his length down my throat. Li Xin hissed through his teeth, sending chills racing down my spine, then gasped when I swallowed. You are a goddess. Oh, fuck. You are so good at that. Oh, yes. Baby. The words tumbled from his lips between heavy whispers and exhales, while my mouth glided up and down his shaft at varied speeds. A trick, I learned, that both excited and drove him to madness. A small grin of satisfaction tugged at the corners of my mouth when his hands fisted in my hair and shook from the effort he was expending to refrain from taking control. Only a few seconds more, and I knew he would be wild with the need for release. Maybe that was what he needed. For months, he had leaned towards slow, easy lovemaking. I suppose it was indifference to my condition, but perhaps, like me, he was missing the raw, heart-pounding thrill of a rough ride. There was only one way to find out. Deciding to push him over that edge, I slid my hands up his thighs, wrapped them around the base of his shaft, and began to bob on his cock without abandon. Fuck. He burst out in reaction to the sudden change, then uncurled his fist, gripped my head, and proceeded to fuck my face. The beast was free. My heart soared, triumphant. Then, without warning, Li Xin released me and backed away. I opened my mouth to question him, but he leaned down and silenced me with a kiss that wiped every word from my memory. My king's kisses were magic. They left me spellbound and hungry for more. For even the slightest taste, I would follow him anywhere to do almost anything. When he broke the kiss, I whimpered in objection and reached up to draw his lips back to mine. Li Xin smiled as he caught my hands and gently pulled me to my feet. Your mouth feels incredible on my cock, my love, but your pussy feels even better, he whispered while guiding me to his desk and trailing kisses over my shoulders and back. I laid my hands on the surface and bent forward with my legs apart in answer to his implicit request. Li Xin moaned in appreciation as his hands roamed reverently over my body, tracing every hill and valley. I know you are delicate right now, but I do not know if I can be gentle, Loni. I'm throbbing for you, my queen. He growled, nipping at his mark on my neck. Praise the gods, I need to fuck you so hard everyone will hear your screams all the way to the coast. Anger and frustration rushed to the surface, causing me to jerk my head around and glare at him over my shoulder. Then fucking do it. I am not fragile, Lee. Stop treating me like a porcelain doll and fuck me like you mean it. The room vibrated with the force of his roar as he drove into me and nearly sent me tumbling against the desk. I righted myself and snarled when I realized he had stopped moving. What are you waiting for? I demanded. Fuck me. Li Xin needed no further encouragement. Before I had finished my order, he reared up and clamped his hands on my hips and began drilling his cock into my throbbing hotbox as if his life depended on it. Bless the gods. It felt so good. This was exactly what I needed. A good, hard pounding. I had gone far too long without it. I loved my mate more than life, but his constant fussing and worrying over me was starting to wear on my nerves. Even when we made love, he acted like one wrong move would break me. It was infuriating, and I was at my wits' end with that madness. While I never doubted his desires for me, sometimes I needed to feel its strength in the ferocity of a bout of rough sex. I screamed when the head of his dick began hammering away at my G-spot. Li Xin hesitated. Don't you dare fucking stop. Fuck me. Please. Just fuck me. My heart swelled when he granted my wish without argument. Leaning forward and hooking his hands over my shoulders, he increased the speed and force of his thrusts. Is this what you desire, my queen? He growled. Yes. Yes, oh, yes, I shouted, pushing my hips back and up and spreading my shaky legs wider to take as much of him as possible. My whole body quaked at the telltale tingles of an orgasm beginning in my toes and crawled up my legs. Yes, right there. Oh, fuck. Come for me, baby. Li Xin encouraged between pants and groans. Give it to me. Come on, baby. Oh, yes. His encouragement was a warning that he was getting close. I was not quite there yet, so I reached between my legs and found my hot, pulsating clit. My fingers danced rapidly over the super-sensitive nub, sending me rocketing toward the euphoric crest. Li Xin groaned again, then slowed to long, hard thrusts. Oh, fuck yes, Lonnie. I'm coming, baby. He cried out, slamming into me 3 more times. Those tingles that started in my toes shot through my body and settled in the base of my spine, a moment before I erupted. Li Xin rested his head on my back for a second, then straightened, bringing me up with him and hugging me to his chest. I love you so much, Lonnie. And I you. Thank you. For what? He asked, leaning around to look at my face with confusion written on his. I smiled and pressed a light kiss to his lips. For treating me like a woman, and not a priceless artifact. And that is the end of chapter 5. You may all come back.
More! More!
Okay, you said it was going to be, well, you said it was going to be more, but good lord, it was more. I think everyone needs a drink and a cigarette after that. Gee whiz. You can't stop blushing? Good. Unfortunately, I couldn't get into character as much as I would have normally done so because my son is in the next room, and I didn't want to have that conversation. Dad, why were you saying those things? You see, is everybody doing okay though? Is everyone, you all right? Everyone check their blood pressure. You gonna make it? That was practically an entire chapter. I thought maybe it was going to be a page or two, maybe 3. That was something else entirely. All right. Well. Nah. Now we're on chapter 6. Wait until chapters 11 and 12? Oh, good God. Do I need to kick everybody out of the house when I read this? I mean, sheesh. Maybe. I'll just hand out noise-canceling headphones. Chapter 6, on page 92, is The Great Divide, which is 3 weeks later, and is from Quinn's perspective, at least to begin with. I don't know why I'm holding the pen. I have no idea. Okay. Y'all ready? Just want to make sure if you need a moment to, like, you know, use the bathroom, get a towel, I don't know, whatever. Just want to make sure. Quinn. Training was the last thing on my mind as I trudged along the path that ran through the dense forest and to an opening in the front of the mountain's face. King Shilin's plan to confront the Discord head-on wasn't working, and I couldn't figure out why. His Majesty's arguments were solid, and the supporting research was foolproof. There should be no more objection to the princess ascending the throne when she came of age. If nothing else, his reasoning should have settled the pride significantly. Instead, it grew more hostile, causing rifts throughout the community among friends, neighbors, and family. Civil unrest roared through our peaceful village like an out-of-control wildfire. It was perplexing and a little frightening. Then it hit me. Something was fueling it. But what? And who was providing that fuel? Shi Yang hadn't been seen or heard from since he left Obsidian Mountain, so he couldn't be responsible unless someone on the inside was keeping the pot stirred for him. While that seemed like something Shi Yang would do, he was never one for mixing with those he considered beneath him. Then again, he did have followers, and one would have to do something to earn them. He could have been mingling with Pride members without King Li Xin or me knowing, but that seemed far-fetched. It was rare that anything happened within the Pride that escaped my attention. What I didn't personally witness, I was made aware of by a subordinate or Maya learning about it from another palace staff member and passed the information along. Then there was Clayton, the Pride's chief security officer. He was always the first to be alerted when there was a skirmish between Pride members, a petty crime committed, a security breach, or anything that might be cause for concern, which he reported immediately to King Li Xin and myself. I'm telling you, that is not his cub, I heard a familiar voice say as I stepped inside the training arena. They've been trying to conceive since they were paired 82 years ago. 82 years! Then miraculously, just as the gentry are preparing to approach His Majesty about abdicating the throne, she falls pregnant. I would bet my life that they hired a donor to avoid passing the crown to Shi Yang. The last time I heard that accusation, it was from Shi Yang himself. So that put Dexter Lyon right on top of my list of suspects. Is that so, Dexter? I asked, rounding the corner to see my second in command, surrounded by a handful of my squadron leaders. Dexter's opposition to King Li Xin's plan surprised me. He was there the day the announcement was made, and even stood by our king as he tried to restore calm. For days after, he kept his chauvinistic views to himself. Then, little by little, the barbs began to roll off his tongue until they spewed forth like vomit and turned the training arena into a battlefield. Every day he was squaring off with someone over a vile comment he made. More than once, that someone was me. Dexter smiled as I approached and pushed away from the wall he'd been leaning against with a gleam in his brown eyes. You don't think it's convenient that Queen Fallon conceived just in the nick of time? He asked, loud enough to capture the attention of every soldier in the arena. Everyone's gaze is focused on me. Some were speculative, others defiant. No, I don't think it's convenient. I think the collective does things in their own time and for their own reasons. Since when do we question them? I'm not questioning the collective. They don't control every aspect of our lives, Quinn. We do have free will. And I believe King Li Xin used his to bypass our laws. Dex answered as his expression turned smug. When I remained silent, he added, "He should be stripped of his crown and prosecuted for his crime." A collective gasp filled the arena when I lunged, taking hold of Dexter by his throat and pinning him against the wall. Multiple soldiers rushed forward, gripping my arm, trying to pull me back while shouting at me to let go. I watched the bastard's face redden during his fight for breath, and felt a pang of regret. It usually took a lot more than an ignorant comment to trigger a violent response from me, but this whole situation kept my temper hovering close to the surface, ready to explode at any given moment. Slowly, my senses returned, and I eased my grip, letting him fall to his knees, choking on every gulp of air he drew into his lungs. You'll do well to remember to mind your tongue when you speak of our king, Dexter. I growled as I started to walk away. The stupid fool should have stayed down to recover his breath, but against all reason he rose, still panting, and sealed his fate. "Looks like we just met the donor, boys," he said, and swallowed against another coughing fit. A rush of rage roared through my blood, bringing with it a craving for violence more lethal than any I'd experienced in my 105 years of life. It burned me from the inside out, and awakened a taste for blood. His blood. Again, I lunged, determined to make the insolent bastard pay for his words. Every last disgusting one of them. I swung my right fist more forcefully than I had ever had against a fellow Pride member and connected with the side of his face, breaking his bones. Dexter yowled in pain, blood streaming from his mouth and nose, then surged forward, ducking as I swung my left. His shoulder caught me in my diaphragm, sending us both tumbling to the floor with fists and elbows flailing in search of a target. I grunted when Dex landed a solid punch to my side and cracked a rib. He was stronger than I remembered, but still no match for me in skill. Prior to his shift in attitude, he and I sparred regularly. He was a below-average fighter, and back then I hoped that sparring with me would help him to improve. While he wasn't nearly as bad as he used to be, he still wasn't up to the level expected of an apprentice military chief. Apparently, Li Xin wasn't the only one giving too many chances to the undeserving. Dex growled in frustration as I dodged yet another attempt to restrain my arms and pummeled my left side, breaking another rib. I underestimated his level of rage, and he was taking advantage of it. Each blow to my side felt like I was being stabbed by a hot fireplace poker. It was excruciating, and almost enough to make me tap out, but I refused to give the hateful asshole the satisfaction. I would win this fight, or I would die trying. A blow to my kidney forced a roar from my throat and unleashed the power of my panther. Swinging with every ounce of strength, I rammed my fist into the underside of Dexter's chin. His head snapped back hard, distracting him long enough for me to land a series of punishing blows to his face and torso before we were forcibly separated. "You're fucking done," I bellowed as half a dozen soldiers dragged and pushed me backward. "I don't ever want to see your face in my arena again." Dex jerked himself free of the three fighters restraining him and grinned while running the back of his hand under his split lip. "All able-bodied men are required to train, so you'll be seeing me in your arena whether you want to or not. Wanna bet?" Well then. This next section is from Maya's perspective. A sharp pain struck my ribs, causing me to cry out and double over, alarming Her Majesty Queen Fallon. "Maya," the Queen exclaimed as she struggled to her feet. "What happened? Are you all right?" she asked, nearly frantic by the time she reached my side. After several seconds, the pain lessened to a dull ache, and I was able to straighten again. "I am fine, Your Majesty, but something has happened to Quinn. I believe he has suffered an injury in training." Setting my clipboard aside, I dropped my chin to my chest in submission. "Begging your pardon, Queen Fallon, but I must go to see him." "Of course, my schedule can wait. I still have a month and a half before Li Xin will allow me to resume it, so a few hours or even days will not interfere with anything. Go. Take care of your mate." "Thank you, Your Majesty," I responded with a quick curtsy before I rushed out of her office. I knew Quinn's injuries were not life-threatening. If they were, the pain would have been much worse, and my panther would have been raging in my head and craving the blood of he who dared cause harm to our mates. Still, that knowledge did nothing to suppress my sense of urgency. Only Quinn could put my mind at ease. Thus, I ran down the corridor to the door leading to the Queen's garden. I opened a channel to my mate. Quinn! I practically screamed in my mind and immediately grimaced at the tone. Everything is all right, my love. Just a broken rib or two. Where are you? I'm on my way to you. Meet me in the garden. I'm just about to come out of the forest now. Almost there. Once I reached the archway and saw Quinn emerge from the trees a few feet away, I stopped running, and my breath caught at the sight of him. He was bent slightly forward, clutching his left side, and his face was bruised with smears of blood on his bottom lip and chin. These injuries were not common occurrences during a routine training session. Something happened. Someone did that to him deliberately. Infuriated, I stormed forward and met him halfway to the garden. What in the name of the collective? Who did that to you and why? I demanded as I examined the already healing marks on his face. Quinn lifted a hand to cup my cheek briefly, then rested it on my shoulder. Can we sit down before you set off on your tear? I promise I will tell you everything, but right this moment I'm struggling to stay on my feet. Shame flushed the anger from my system instantaneously. You're right, honey. I'm sorry. Let's get you to the bench. With great care, I lifted Quinn's hand from my shoulder and positioned myself under his arm, allowing him to lean on me as I led him to the marble bench nestled before a tall, thick row of Rose of Sharon within the Queen's garden. Quinn lowered himself to the cold stone surface with a groan. A faint twinge of pain radiated from my left side and throughout my body. It was but a tiny shadow of what my mate was feeling, so I tossed my need for answers aside, wrapped my arms around him, and closed my eyes, bracing myself for his screams of agony. Healing broken bones naturally was painful, but rushing the process, as we were doing, made it excruciating. Seconds ticked by. Then the pain in my left side became sharper, and Quinn's body shook. My mate was trying to spare me from the full impact of what he was feeling, well aware that he would end up with the headache on top of everything else. Quinn, my love, let it out. Don't fight it for my benefit. You'll only feel worse after. I encouraged him, pressing my lips against his head. Come on, sweetheart. I've got you. Quinn held on for a couple of minutes longer before he buried his face between my breasts, dug his fingertips into my back, and released a scream loud enough to shatter the palace windows. I tightened my grip, hoping to draw some of his pain away while I murmured words of love and comfort in his ear. It was a pointless hope. While the mate bond allowed us to feel some of what our mate was feeling, we could not shoulder the burden of their emotion or onslaught. Onslaught, subscribe for 4 months. My dude, thank you so much. Let me remember where I am. Towards the bottom of the page. How the heck are you, sir? Can we get a shout out for Ons, please? While I write his name on this piece of paper to be entered into the drawing. Thank you, sir. We are now at 28 out of 50. So we're getting there. Sick? Oh no, house has COVID at the moment, but I'm doing fairly well overall. Shoot. I am so sorry. That stinks. Hopefully it doesn't last long, because that's That sucks. And my alerts for, or not my alerts, my the bar thing at the top of the screen here isn't moving. Why does it never work? None of these things work, and it's so annoying. I'm pretty sure that's a Streamlabs thing. Pretty sure. Ugh. Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. What is your problem? It's like I have to redo it every time. It makes no sense. Well, I hope the COVID doesn't last, man, and I hope your symptoms are not as bad as what they could be. Because that's not fun. Why does this suck? Why do you suck? Doo-doo-doo. I've just removed it because I'm gonna have to keep count on my own. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Ugh. Maybe there's a different count thing I can do. I don't even remember where I set up the first one. Symptoms are mild, but the fatigue is real. I canceled stream today because I have nothing in the tank. Yeah, man, you don't need to be streaming when you have COVID. Don't do that to yourself. Do not. It's not worth it. I can promise you that. You know, I've tried different ways of counting subscribers, and none of them are working the way that I'm trying to make them work, and it infuriates me. All they do is capture new people. They don't recapture resubs. They capture new subs, and that's not helpful. Yeah, I don't like to go live when I'm not at least close to 100. Yeah, you don't need that. You don't need that. You gotta take care of yourself. You have to. And it sounds like the family's got it too, so whoever's there, not great either. So yeah, don't overburden yourself. Sorry, I'm trying to find something that can help me here. But it is not going well. Now, a puzzle, that's a great way to... That's a great way to relax. I will say though, Ons, you missed the spicy stuff. Oh my goodness, you're gonna have to watch the VOD back. Chapter 5, over half of it was just pure spice. Lady K has outdone herself in this book. My goodness. Meow. That's all I need to say. Oh, I found the counter for my push-ups. So, maybe I can edit. Yes. That's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna delete that one. I need to edit the push-up counter. You just woke up again. I don't doubt that at all. I need to edit the push-up counter that we currently have. And I'm gonna add a new counter. Let's see if I can get this to work. Alright, cool. We're just gonna do that. So anytime a sub comes in, single, gift, whatever, we're just gonna count it ourselves. Forget the timers, or the counters that Streamlabs and Stream Elements and even Twitch offers, they don't work. So we'll just do it ourselves, alright? Gosh darn it, we're gonna do it ourselves. Technology. Alright, well, you enjoy the puzzle. I'm gonna get back to the book. We are on page 103. Let's see, I'll go back to the paragraph I just started. But thank you again, sir, for resubscribing. I appreciate that. While the mate bond allowed us to feel some of what our mate was feeling, we could not shoulder the burden of their emotional or physical pain for them. The most we could do was help them to heal faster than they would normally. Wish someone could do that for me, holy crap. And for Ons and his family. And for Kay, for that matter. There's a lot of people, actually, that could use this right now. My gaze drifted up and locked with King Li Xin, who stood looking down from his office window. His face was drawn, and his eyes were sad. I could only imagine how he felt watching his lifelong friend and confidant suffer from what I was sure were the consequences of his choices. Not that I objected. I didn't. King Li Xin had my full, enthusiastic support in this matter. A woman in power? It was about time. Unfortunately, my opinion meant very little in the greater scheme of things. The pride was divided on the subject, with support dwindling and animosity growing. Tempers flared with only a single wrong word spoken, and his fists had become commonplace within the village. Or fist fights had become commonplace. Good lord, I can read. Our peaceful utopia was being held hostage by misogynists who would rather destroy the pride than see a woman lead it. As I watched His Majesty turn away from the window, I shook my head in disgust and sent a silent prayer to the collective to give him the strength he needed to restore order to Obsidian Mountain. Quinn's body went limp against mine, dragging my attention back to him. I eased away and lifted his chin to examine his face. The cuts and bruises were gone. His eyes were dull from lack of energy, but were no longer glazed over from the pain. Relieved, I hugged him. "How do you feel, my love?" I asked as I combed my fingers through his shoulder-length wavy brown hair. He drew me onto his lap, pressed his nose against my neck, and inhaled deeply. "Like a car that has run out of gas." His words were slightly slurred and seemed to require a great deal of effort, so I pushed myself off his lap and reached for his hand. "Come, let's get you to bed," I said, again shoving my questions to the back of my mind. "Not yet. I have to talk to His Majesty about what happened," Quinn protested. I cupped his face and kissed him lightly. "His Majesty will understand. He knows the result, and that's enough for now." Mama House Gaming, hi. "He knows?" "Yes, honey, he knows. He came to the window and watched you as you healed," I informed him. "Mama House Gaming, were you here for Chapter 5? By chance? Were you? Oh, goody. I hope you enjoyed it." Quinn's eyes drooped. He had no energy left to fight the need for rest. I had to get him home before it was no longer possible. I was thinking about looking up the book fully. You should! Exclamation point fall. Slowly, I drew him to his feet and positioned myself under his arm for support. Maya. The sound of my name drew my gaze to the garden's entrance. King Li Xin looked more like an overworked businessman in his black slacks and white button-up shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows than a king. You will never make it home. He is dead on his feet. Let me help you take him up to the guest rooms. You can both stay here until his energy is restored. King Li Xin said as he crossed the garden and looped Quinn's other arm around his shoulder. Thank you, Your Majesty, I answered, glad that I didn't have to try to drag my extremely large mate the quarter-mile home. And that is the end of chapter 6. My. Well, tensions are flaring. The pride is split. And we know what happens eventually, because at the beginning of the book, we heard all about it. This is an excellent story. I am not doubting that at all. I'm very glad we were able to read it. Very glad. This tea is delicious. Thank you so much. You made my day. I agree. It's the truth. And I will speak it. Yes, I will. You ordered special chai tea today? Nice. Oh, you know, since I have the push-up counter on screen, I should probably do the same thing for the giveaway, since we are controlling it now instead of a robot. I just need to remember how I did that. How did I do that? I'll figure it out. Gonna send some out to some family. Well, that's cool. You love chai tea? You're talking like real chai, not the other chai. I don't know if I've actually had chai tea. When I lived in the UK, it was always the same stuff. I didn't really waver from it, and I haven't wavered since I got here either. It's always like English breakfast style tea, which is basically just black tea, and then I add milk and sugar. I'm just saying not the kind you buy in the supermarket or Starbucks. Gotcha. Very nice. I'm just saying not the books you buy in the supermarket or Starbucks. Thank you, Buttspot. You love English breakfast tea? That's the kind you drink? Lovely. Well, cheers to you. That's what I'm drinking right now. Just to preface, I think we'll stop here as far as the chapters go. This seems like a very nice, easy place to stop as far as the story goes. I do need to do some push-ups, so we got to make sure I do that. Let me get my bookmark in here, because if I don't, I'll forget. And like I said before, I have no desire to rush to rush this book because it's such a cool story. You had tangerine orange tea today. Ew, nice. Ons is drinking a mix of chai and blueberry teas, like a blueberry muffin. Lovely. And so the tangerine orange tea doesn't have any caffeine. I gotcha. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Let me put the lid on this. It's time to do some push-ups.
Yup, that tasted purple.
Okay. Whew. Hi, Purple. How you doing? Oh yes, chapter 5 is it's a torment, let me tell you. Oh. Whew. Gurrar. And apparently 11 and 12 are going to be, you know what I mean? That's a spicy meatball. No, can you spell it out? Well, you see, when a man and a woman, in this case, really, really love each other, what happens is they fuck. Let Kay write it, please. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Cheers. Well, luckily she's already done the writing, and I get to read it. So, yay for that. Okay, now, who do we have that's online right now that we can go say hello to? Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, the words of wisdom. Bedtime for me? Yes. Get your rest, Kay. And no more shoveling snow if you don't have to. Enough of that nonsense. You know, my friends Here There Be Monsters, Pixie, is playing Stardew Valley. And they are wonderful people. So I think we'll go raid them. We haven't had a we haven't raided them in a while. So let's do that. We will be back on, what is today, Sunday? We'll be back on Thursday to continue this amazing book. So stay tuned. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the resub. Thank you for the raid. Please take care of yourself. I hope the week coming up is a good one, that you're not too stressed out, that you're able to take care of yourself in the process. So please, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a wonderful night.